Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and it is time for a dog fight. On one side we have the Pantech Burst, and on the other side we have the Samsung Captivate Glide. Both of these phones are on AT&T, and they're both great phones. Dual-core processor, 4-inch Super AMOLED display, terrific cameras, but there's a couple of differences. The Pantech Burst is only $50 on contract, the Captivate Glide is $150, and then the Pantech Burst is an LTE device, whereas the Captivate Glide is only HSPA+. So there's a couple of differences, but the question is the extra money worth it, or is a Pantech Burst just an awesome deal? That's what we're going to find out in this dogfight. Before we get started with that, I have to say, especially to our friends at Best Buy Mobile, one of the great things about Best Buy Mobile is that when you buy a phone from them, you don't have to worry about rebates because of the price on the tag is the price you pay. So thank you, Best Buy Mobile, for being so awesome. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let's talk a little bit about messaging. Obviously, the Captivate Glide has a physical keyboard, whereas the Pantech Burst doesn't. So we'll go over to messaging here. We'll start a new message. You do have a virtual keyboard. As you can see, you have the stock Android gingerbread keyboard, and then you also have Swipe if you would like to use that. You can always download other virtual keyboards, from the Android market, but for some people, you just can't beat having a physical keyboard. And so, one thing about the Captivate Glide's keyboard is that it's very spacious. I like having it, in the grid format. Sometimes when the keys are offset from each other, this is all very personal, but just for me personally, I like it when it's in this kind of grid format. You have a dedicated row for the space bar. You have primary keys for period, question mark, and comma. I love having those dedicated keys, because you're going to use those keys a lot, and so it's frustrating when you have to press the Alt key just to get to the period or something. So having shortcut keys for all those punctuations is nice. And you have this sort of D-pad here built into the keyboard. The problem with this keyboard, despite looking great, it's very poorly designed in terms of the keys themselves, because as you can see, they're extremely flat. I mean, I have this almost completely horizontal or vertical, and you can barely see the keys raised at all. In fact, you can't really see them raised at all above the surface, because they're basically flush with the surface, which means it's hard to differentiate one from the other. Not only that, but you don't get enough feedback. There's just not enough travel on each key. You barely have to press it in order for it to register. But, which sounds good, but the problem is, you barely press it, so you don't know, okay, did I actually press that button? Because there's just not a whole lot of travel there. Overall, the keyboard looks great, but in use, it's just very poorly designed. It's not raised above the surface enough, and you don't get enough feedback. And so I was very disappointed by this physical keyboard. And then, therefore, that kind of negates the need for the Captivate Glide entirely, because, there's a lot of phones that are great smartphones, the Pantech Burst being one of them. But one of the reasons why you're going to go with the extra bulk, you're going to go with the Glide, is because of that physical keyboard. And I can tell you, it's just a very poorly designed physical keyboard. Well, now you can try out the physical keyboard in the store, because everyone's different. Physical keyboards, people can be kind of picky about that. So it may be helpful to try out the Captivate Glide in the store and kind of get a feel for how the keyboard is. But I've said this, again, I'll say it again. I've heard other bloggers say the same thing. The keys are just way too flat to make it useful at all. We'll move over to the back now and talk about the cameras, also talk about memory. If I take off the battery cover here, we'll take a look at the battery for both of these. The Captivate Glide ships with a 1650 milliampere hour battery, and then the Pantech Burst, it also ships with a 1650 milliampere hour battery. So same size battery, which seems very equal, but keep in mind the Pantech Burst is an LTE device, so it's going to drain the battery a lot quicker. I got excellent battery life with the Captivate Glide. I could easily get through one full day with heavy use of text messaging, web browsing, pulling several several messages or several from social networking, pulling a lot of information in the background. Whereas with a Pantech Burst, again, it's an LTE device, going to drain the battery a lot quicker. I could get through a full work day, like a full 8-hour work day, and then into the evening I had to charge it. So better battery life with the Captivate Glide. That's to be expected. One thing about, while I have the battery cover off, the Pantech Burst uses a micro SD card slot, so keep that in mind. If you're considering buying one of these unlocked, you will need a micro SD or micro SIM card, excuse me, micro SIM card in order to use the Pantech Burst. The Captivate Glide uses a typical or normal size SIM card. We'll move over to the camera now and talk about that. Let me get the battery cover back on both of these phones. When it comes to the camera, it's really no contest, and I'll show you guys some sample pictures. First of all, I'll just tell you a little bit about them. The Captivate Glide has an 8 megapixel autofocus camera. As you can see, it has a single LED flash here. The Pantech Burst has a 5 megapixel autofocus camera, and then again it has a single LED flash. Both of them have front-facing cameras. On the Pantech Burst, you can see it's in the corner there, and on the Captivate Glide, it's at the right corner there. Both are VGA front-facing cameras. But the rear-facing camera, 8 megapixel to 5 megapixel, so definitely you can tell the difference there. And taking a look at some of these pictures, and starting with the outside shots, you can see the Captivate Glide is just so much more clear, and it almost looks like the Pantech Burst, like it's out of focus, like it's blurry, like I moved my hand before it actually took the picture, but that's not true. That's actually just the way it captures a picture. It's just too soft, not enough detail. We'll go over to a couple of shots here. Now, when I took these, it was a gloomy day, so it's kind of cloudy, so the colors aren't excellent, but you can still tell the colors on the Captivate Glide are still better, even when it's not that sunny out. And then the detail is just so much better on the Captivate Glide. When we go to some pictures in excellent lighting, you can see this is one that I've set up with some studio lights. You can see they're actually very comparable here, very equal. The Pantech Burst doesn't look quite as bad. But again, this is with perfect lighting, and how many times are you going to have perfect lighting? Just with normal outside shots, the Captivate Glide did so much better. The detail was better, the color was better. It's no contest when it comes to still photos. Now, both of them capture 720p HD video at 30 frames per second. Video quality was slightly better with the Captivate Glide, and we have a sample video with the Pantech Burst. We don't have a sample video with the Captivate Glide, but you can kind of look around the internet and compare them. But video quality was slightly better with the Captivate Glide, and then audio quality was slightly better with the Pantech Burst. So kind of it depends on which one you want. Pick your poison. Do you want terrible audio quality or not so good video quality? Video quality wasn't awful with the Pantech Burst, but it was definitely better with the Captivate Glide. And then, of course, you have a front-facing camera on both of them, so that's definitely nice to have. So there they are, the Samsung Captivate Glide and the Pantech Burst, both from AT&T. Now, the final verdict, which one wins, which one would I recommend? I'm going to go with the Pantech Burst, and it's really a no-brainer whenever you consider the price. The Pantech Burst is only $50 on contract. The Captivate Glide is $150 on contract. Now, the Captivate Glide is a great phone. There's really nothing wrong with it except for the physical keyboard, but it's still a terrific phone, and of course you saw the pictures from the camera. It takes excellent pictures. However, when you consider the price and how equal they are, same display, same beautiful display, the Pantech Burst is actually an LTE device, so data speeds are going to be a lot quicker, and then the processor just slightly faster, clocked at 1.5 gigahertz as opposed to 1 gigahertz. There's not really a whole lot of difference, but it's just enough to make the Pantech Burst that much better. And then when you bring in that price of $50 on contract, you really can't beat it. It's the best deal you're going to get probably on any carrier right now. You really can't beat the Pantech Burst for the price. So the winner goes to the Burst. You guys can check out both of them. Again, like I said, look at the keyboard for the Captivate Glide. If you like it, if it doesn't give you any problems, then go with the Captivate Glide. But for me personally, and what I've heard from other bloggers, it's just a disappointment, really. So there they are. I hope you guys enjoyed this dogfight. If I left anything out, or if there's anything extra you want to know about, leave a comment below or send me a message on Twitter at PhoneDogSydney, PhoneDog_Sydney, and I'll try to answer it if I can. But thank you guys for watching. I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.